Hi, I'm Dr. Andrea Stover, licensed marriage and family therapist, and you're listening to the Modern Day Romantic Podcast. Hi, everyone, and welcome to today's episode. Today, I am going to be tackling the question of why do we need Valentine's Day? And I'm coming at this from all angles. I know there are some people out there who detest, despise, loathe Valentine's Day, while others really look forward to it or think it's a magical, really special, romantic day. And probably a lot of people somewhere in between there. Maybe people that dread it, but still, participate. So anyways, I thought it would be interesting to even ask the question, do we need Valentine's Day? And if so, why do we need it? And even from that skeptical place, why do we need this? All right, so let's dive in by just naming in 2024, this year, Americans are estimated to spend just under $26 billion on Valentine's Day. That is a ton of money for one day. So obviously this is saying, hey, somewhere in American society, we value Valentine's Day. We just don't know exactly why. So I think, number one, this says there is a place and a space for the idea of romantic love in American society. Duh. Valentine's Day is a day that is now something, it's a whole holiday to celebrate romantic love. And I know that people of all different ages celebrate and whatnot, but the idea now is this, hey, will you be my Valentine? Will you be my special love interest or my crush? Or can we as a couple spend this day together kind of basking in our love for one another? Again, may not be how it translates, but that's kind of this idea behind it. So there is something that society is voting, if we were to tally the votes by the dollar amount alone spent, saying, yeah, we value this. This is important. We want to keep it this way. Now, let's start to maybe look at factors that play into that. One, I believe that each year the money spent on Valentine's Day increases more and more and more. Especially today in the state of the economy, we can say, well, yeah, it kind of makes sense given inflation, given a card now costs $7.99, the box of chocolates, the flowers, all of these different things. But I would also say it's interesting, if we're talking about a holiday that celebrates romantic love, why we have conflated that with gift giving. What is it about the flowers, the chocolates, the dinner out, the wine, all of the cards, all of these things that we spend money on, that we consume, like almost we're consumers of romantic love at this point. And is there a different way to maybe do this holiday without having just under $26 billion be spent on that day? I know the marketers and various corporations don't want that of us, but I wonder if it loses some of its meaning if we're really spending $26 billion on this one singular day. When I think about Valentine's Day, just kind of in general terms, in today's times, I think we start to indoctrinate children very young into the idea of Valentine's Day. And what I mean by that is, at least at elementary schools, and probably in other ways too, but especially there's classroom parties, there's bringing treats, which is candy, which is sugar, which is, excitement. There's little cards and maybe arts and crafts around, Valentine's Day. So from an early age, we are exposed to Valentine's Day. And again, I'm not, there's no judgment, no right or wrong in that. I think it's just interesting to reflect. Yes, this is there pretty early on in our society. And how does that continue to get expressed or show up as we age, as we get older? I know when I was growing up, once you advanced beyond elementary school and were in middle school, they had a fundraiser in middle school where you could buy, I don't know, maybe for $1 or something, carnations, either a white, pink, or red carnation for someone and have that sent to them, in the various classrooms. So I think, if I remember, white was for friendship, pink was for maybe I like you, and red is, I love you. So, just this way of kind of, again, having this ritual or this one day of, hey, maybe we can kind of focus on love, or reveal to a crush that you really like them, or shower someone with, again, these gifts or just gestures, let's say, to let them know I'm thinking of you, I care, you're special to me. So again, we kind of continue to progress. And one thing I was really thinking about with this is a greeting card, for example, a Valentine's Day card. In today's digital world, we are there's little emojis we can send, or lots of digital cards and ways of expressing, feelings to someone. But maybe there is even more value in a handwritten card today. So I can make a case for that. I just think it's really interesting to reflect, from this place in 2024, how did we get here? And are we living into what I think Valentine's Day and any other holiday can also kind of be a ritual or a celebration of something. So are we ensuring that we are, in fact, living into this from a ritualistic and not kind of like an obligatory, habitual, I got to go get the Valentines or get you your card or, get all of this, but more so, using it as a day or a way to be in a different place than what you are maybe on some of the other days of the year. Like, it's a day carved out just to be able to have these expressions of love and these various gestures. Now, I think some of the skeptics or some of the critics of Valentine's Day would say, why in the world do you need a day, to do that? What's the value in that? If you're doing that 1 out of 365 days a year, what happens on the other 364? I think there's something valid to that for sure. But I also would say there's something, just like a birthday. It's kind of nice and also you get to share in it collectively with others, when there is a designated day for something. So I can see a case for either side of that. Now, I want to kind of veer into some of the psychological factors or kind of layers that may come up on Valentine's Day for people. Number one, as I said, it is a holiday geared towards romantic love. And what happens if you do not have a special someone in your life and you would really like to have that? So I think this is one of the reasons this is probably one of the most dreaded holidays, especially for singles, is it feels like society is reflecting back your aloneness, your lack of having that special someone. And it can be really painful. It can be a hard day to just have to sit in that place, let's say. So if you are single and that is your experience, one thing I would say, and I know this is maybe a little easier to conceptualize in today's culture and society than even, let's say, a decade ago. But maybe you can make that day a really special day of self-love, of being able to say, how do I treat myself as my own Valentine? What would be a meaningful way for me to be with myself today? Maybe you go get a massage. Maybe you take a bubble bath. Maybe you journal and reflect. Maybe you go out into the world and give to others in some way. And through that, you also feel filled up or loved. But I do want to honor and recognize that when you are single and would love to be able to participate in a day like this and feel like it's I think they call it like National Singles Awareness Day or something like that coincides with Valentine's Day. That can suck. That can just flat out suck for some people. And I really wanted to take a moment and acknowledge that. I also think there's ways we can kind of see through all of the consumerism that goes on with Valentine's Day and say, even though I'd like to be participating, it's also a way that we've kind of commercialized and kind of the consumption of romantic love. And what would be a kind gesture I could give to myself that isn't kind of playing into all of that? So Okay, there's one piece of that. Second thing I wanted to say from the psychological perspective is I think that this holiday can really put a lot of burden on people sometimes, where if you're not naturally feeling connected to a partner for the other 364 days out of the year, but oh crud, the holiday's here. I have to do something. I have to make it be special, or else I'm going to hear about this, or else, I'm going to get in trouble or something like that. I mean, this is some people. This is how it feels. So I think there can be an accompanying dread in that way too. And sometimes it may not even be, hey, we're kind of disconnected from one another, and now I have this pressure on me to have to show up in a connective way. It may be I simply struggle to do it in this way. Like I don't like all the fluff and all of the propaganda around all of this. I want to just be able to have a quiet night in, like we do a lot of nights of the year, and just be with each other and have that quality time. So I think that this holiday, what it's turned into, has almost put a pressure on people to try to live into or live up to some fantasy or some idealized idea of how this is supposed to look and what it's supposed to feel like and be like. I also think with the advent of technology, it can really exacerbate this, because there you are, if you're on social media, seeing everyone's feeds, and not everyone, of course, but a lot of feeds of, oh, look what my partner did for me, or oh, this is how I'm celebrating my Valentine's Day. And like it or not, that stuff does kind of get in there sometimes. And maybe there's a comparison of, oh, well, my partner only did this for me, or, oh, I wish we would have done that instead, that type of a thing too. So it really can kind of turn into its own beast, in my opinion, at times. So another, I guess, just shadowy quality or something that could come up around this particular holiday. I also think that there's sometimes kind of piggybacking off of the, hey, we're kind of disconnected in our day-to-day, and then this Valentine's Day thing comes up. It can be, on either side here, it can be a really painful reminder of the reality of where our relationship's at today, or just the lack of love that I feel for you, or the lack of desire I have to do something kind for you because I'm in a resentful place, or you really hurt me, or I just feel disconnected from you. On the flip side, though, I do think that this holiday can serve as a mirror or a reflection, and maybe bring something to the surface, let's say, that could be the way it generally is, but maybe it puts a little bit more emphasis or shines a light on it even further. And perhaps it could lead a couple to say, okay, yeah, there is something going on here that we really would like to, address, and maybe see if we can work through this and better our relationship. That's not to live up so that we live up to any type of, Valentine's Day expectation or anything. But again, it's just that, hey, where are we at in our relationship? And maybe having this going on in society around oneself brings that up for even more reflection or introspection, which I think could be a good thing. So maybe that's one takeaway or one purpose as well for Valentine's Day. Another kind of pressure I think that comes along with Valentine's Day, it's kind of a test of sorts of how well do we know our partner, and or how well are we communicating with our partner about what our desires are on, for example, how we would spend a Valentine's Day together. So why I say a test is, maybe you go out and you try to do something really nice for your partner, and it just doesn't translate. It's not really how they would have wanted to spend the day. It's not how they feel most loved. It's not how they receive love, or their preferred way, or an easy way for them to receive it. So I think that can also create an anxiety or some type of a resistance to Valentine's Day, and maybe even kind of fall into that dread camp or category. I did make an episode a few weeks back called 6 Reasons Why Romantic Grand Gestures Can Flop. And so if this is you, you might want to listen to that, because I think that sometimes people have these grandiose ideas or, hey, this is the day, like we're going to do something really special on this day. And they plan it all out. And it just doesn't go the way they had hoped or imagined. So maybe that episode could give some insight into some of the reasons why I think that can occur. But generally speaking, Valentine's Day is a way of saying, okay, how well do I know myself? How well do I know my partner? And what is a way that we want to spend this type of a holiday together? I do think there is something positive that can come from a Valentine's Day from that relational perspective. Let's say that there's a couple that's just exceptionally busy, just doing life, side by side, but they don't always take the time for themselves as a couple to just have quality time or do something special. Sometimes having that added social definition or pressure or even permission to do that grants people the opportunity to be able to take that moment, to take that day, to take that evening, to do something special just for the two of them. So maybe in doing that, they reflect and they say, oh, it'd be nice to do this more often. Let's not wait another, 364 days before we do this again, kind of thing. So I think that could be another positive or one reason maybe why Valentine's Day could be seen as valid. And if people are using that one day of the year as their yes, we're going to do something really special or really, connective or even magical on that day, maybe that does give some type of insight and understanding why we are spending $26 billion. Because if it's one day out of the year, maybe people do go all out and there's that too. So I wanted to just reflect on some of these things because it's a loaded topic, Valentine's Day. And I do think that there's value in the ritual. I do think it shows for sure that we value romantic love. I know that there's 8 billion people on the planet. Not everyone celebrates Valentine's Day here in America. It is I would say, national holiday, something that's acknowledged anyways. So in that, what is it that how are we finding the value of that? What is it to you? What does Valentine's Day mean to you? Are you a person who really looks forward to it? Do you love sprinkling love and joy and sweets and flowers and all the treats around everywhere you go? Do you just love hearts or pink? I do. So I kind of love it for that. I love love and I love pink. So I know, but I like this time of year and going into stores and oh, look, there's some hearts and there's the word love. Oh, cool. So maybe that's you. Maybe you're a person that thinks this is just ridiculousness and you wish we'd banish it. Maybe you judge people for celebrating it. Maybe you find no value in it whatsoever. And maybe you're somewhere in between where, I'd value it if I had the time or if I had the type of relationship. But ultimately, I think it's a day of reflection. It's a day that society gives us, grants us the opportunity to collectively reflect on love, on what it means to us, on what it looks like in our lives, how we most easily give and receive, what that hope is, what that dream is that lives in us, and what that romantic fantasy and ideal is, even if we're not able to actualize that on Valentine's Day or any other day of the year. It still gives us a glimpse into something. I think there can be a lot of value here as long as we don't lose the meaning and lose ourselves in this kind of consumerism and needing to go buy everyone all of this stuff because it's Valentine's Day. Well, wait a second. Let's just pause and say, does that person even value receiving something like that? And how do I know this person to be, and what would be the most meaningful expression or way that I could show them that I really care? And I do want to just kind of full circle come back around and say, I know I talked a lot about couples on Valentine's Day, but I think there's a lot of different ways that Valentine's Day can be celebrated, it can be honored, and sometimes why it's dreaded too, is that it can extend beyond a partnership. It can extend into a parent-child relationship and doing something special for your child, or maybe them doing something special for you, to friends, to special people in your life, loved ones. It really is a day. How do we show, you matter to me, I love you, I care about you, and I just want you to know that. So I think if we could be more flexible in what it is and how to make it work in our lives, that most people would find some value in Valentine's Day. All right, let me know what you think. I know there's probably a lot of opinions out there on Valentine's Day. So we'll leave it at that, and I'll see you next episode. Thanks so much for tuning in to today's episode. If you're interested in learning about ways to work with me, head over to my website, themoderndayromantic.com. From there, you'll be able to contact me and learn a bit more about the customized intensives and retreats I offer both individuals and couples. Thanks so much for your support, and I'll see you next episode.